welcome to Hot Edition on 92.7 FM. My name is Beatrice.
And I am Alfred Ocansey.
This 1.5 hour bulletin is also live on Kesme 107.1 FM across all our social media platforms. You can also reach us on WhatsApp.
Coming up this evening here on Hot Edition, and voting ends across polling centers in a Ejiso by-election as sorting and counting kicks off in earnest. We're live with our correspondents on the ground here on your election command center.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission withdraws 2 temporary officers amid allegation of bribery.
We have a big conversation on that, and if you go on our Facebook page, as we go on here on Hot Edition, we'll be showing you that video that captures the Member of Parliament for the Kwadaso constituency and being seen attempting to bribe some, officials of the Electoral Commission. We'll give you details of that shortly here on Hot Edition. As Court of Appeal to determine if investigative journalist Anas Armia's face should be inspected in chambers before he testifies. We have that conversation as well here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 as well. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. We have the latest in business, sports and entertainment coming up over the next 1 hour 30 minutes. And you have the summaries of the news?
We do, Grace Ajiman.
Yes,
don't be like me. Yeah.
Let's get right into it then. The Electoral Commission has withdrawn 2 of its staff stationed at the Fimesa Pentecost Church polling station in the Ejiso constituency by-election over alleged bribery. A video circulating on social media shows a gentleman approaching the table and dropping an envelope on the table manned by the presiding officer and ballot issuer. The Electoral Commission later identified the polling station and subsequently withdrew the said officials. The EC has warned against any attempt to bribe its officials in the Ejiso by-election. To other stories, the Minority Caucus in Parliament is cautioning ministers appointed by the President awaiting parliamentary approval to stop holding themselves out as representatives of the President to designated ministries. In a statement released earlier today, the minority says it is illegal for any person to hold himself out as a representative of the President to a ministry exercising any form of executive authority of superintending, overseeing, directing or controlling state institutions in the name of the President without parliamentary approval. They want the Chief of Staff to revoke an illegal appointing minister designates as representatives of the President and further urge members of the public, particularly public sector workers, not to extend any privileges reserved for ministers to such persons. Before we go, Ghana has reported 31 new COVID-19 cases in the past week, prompting health authorities to schedule a nationwide vaccination campaign from May 5 to May 9 to intensify efforts to protect the population. Program manager for the expanded program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsah-Chianu, at a media engagement, emphasized the importance of eligible persons taking advantage of the drive. That's it for the major summaries.
Grace Amajima, appreciate you. Thank you so much for the summaries. More news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. We're heavy here in the Ejiso constituency by-election on your election command center. There's a lot that's been happening from 7 a.m. to this point. Allegations of bribery, vote buying, and the intimidation in that constituency. We're going there right now.
Indeed, and voting has ended across 240 polling stations in the Ejiso constituency of the Ashanti region. For the past 10 hours, residents have been casting ballot in a by-election to elect the Member of Parliament for the vacant Ejiso seat. The by-election became necessary following the death of the sitting MP, John Kuma, in early March. Some 106,000 voters have been voting to elect one out of the 6 candidates to take over from the late MP. And so far, the process has to a large extent been peaceful. 2 leading candidates in the race, Kwabena Boateng of the MPP and independent candidate Kwabena Owusu Aduomi, have both expressed confidence about emerging victorious. They spoke to us earlier.
The complaint that I had was that the MPP officials are sharing monies everywhere. I even saw with my own naked eyes at Tukwa, Pune area, where the MC has parked his car and was sharing money. If you collect 100 cedis at the expense of your future, it's left with you. What do 100 cedis do to you if you collect it? Whilst you get somebody when he becomes an MP, will care about your welfare.
There's no doubt in my mind. I've been walking around, see how people, come around and they smile at me and all that. And it is because they know what the NPP government has been able to deliver, even in hard times. Even in hard times. I'm sure when you were coming, you used the Justo Sectec road. You see what Kofi Job is doing there. Big road construction all the way there to Ocansey. That's a big project.
And you heard the MPP parliamentary candidate for Ejiso Kwabena Boateng, as well as that independent candidate Kwabena Owusu Diomi. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has withdrawn 2 of its staff stationed at the Fumesua Pentecost Church polling station amid allegation of bribery. It follows a viral video showing a gentleman approaching a table manned by 2 electoral officers and dropping an envelope on the table. A statement signed by the EC representative in charge of operations, Samuel Tete, identified the officers as presiding officer and the ballot issuer. The EC said it, quote, has taken immediate steps and has withdrawn the 2 temporary staff while investigations take place, unquote. I'll just give you more from that short statement from the Electoral Commission. It says the Commission's attention has been drawn to a video circulating on social media depicting one of the polling stations at the ongoing Ejiso constituency by-election. The polling station has been identified as the Fumesua Pentecost Church polling station with polling station code F311503. The video shows a gentleman approaching the table and dropping an envelope on the table manned by the presiding officer and ballot issuer. The Electoral Commission has taken immediate steps and has withdrawn the 2 temporary staff while investigations take place. The Commission upholds the principles and values of integrity, truth, and transparency. These values are reinforced during the training of all temporary staff. The Commission will not countenance acts which cast a slur on the integrity of the institution and will not hesitate to sanction its officials who violate its laws. The last paragraph says the report on the incident will be made available to the public in due course. Alfred, I know there's a lot more we're doing today on this.
Indeed, there's a lot. And if you go on our Facebook page right now, we're streaming that video of this alleged bribery involving the MPP MP for the Kwadaso concern. In fact, the man in this video, Beatrice, has been identified by various reports that we've had today as the Member of Parliament for the Kwadaso concerns in the Ashanti region, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, who was reportedly caught on camera handing over this envelope suspected to contain cash to some Electoral Commission officials. Well, there are many who are saying that, look, we should wait for the investigations, not preempt what is in the envelope, but let's go on the ground right now, shall we? Because the man who's leading the charge for us here on your Election Command Center, William Evan Sinkum, is joining us on the telephone for a bit more into this. William, appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Now, what more have you gathered about this incident involving, as we do know now, the Kwadaso Member of Parliament, that's Dr. Kingsley Nyako, and these EC officials who have been withdrawn by the Commission?
Well, so he's been reacting to this particular development, talking about the man at the center of this controversy, and he's saying that he only gave them something for water. So it wasn't an attempt to bribe them, but it was for water. But it is something that, I mean, many in the region and those who are observing this particular by-election are not taking kindly for that. I mean, talking about his reaction.
He said he gave them some, that envelope was for water.
For water.
To buy water.
So,
to buy water.
So indirectly, he's admitting that he gave them money.
Well, absolutely. That is the report that I have gotten.
That envelope, at least based on the video which has gone viral, which we're going to put on our Facebook page right now at 3FM 927. It looks quite heavy. I mean, fat enough to. Were they buying sachets of water, bags, or what? Or
well, the envelope was very pregnant, heavily pregnant.
This is serious. I mean, and so what the Electoral Commission has said is that they withdrew these two temporary staff. But any indication as to whether any further action is going to be taken, especially with respect to the Member of Parliament who has admitted that indeed he gave these people money for water?
Well, there hasn't been any further, a statement or a possible action which to be taken by the Electoral Commission. Well, we have seen him moving in other polling centers. So it is an indicative that there hasn't been any further action on him, Alfred.
I see, but did he have the accreditation to get into the inner perimeter, that restricted area where the issue officials were, that he went there to go and give them this envelope?
So most of the government appointees are here and they'll be given electoral areas. They have been given a task to supervise or monitor the exercise in the various electoral areas. So for him, he was in charge of the Fumeswa electoral area. For instance, there are others that I know, others who are also MPs who have been given special tasks to observe or monitor the exercise in all the 28 electoral areas. It's been shared among these. Some of them are government appointees, as I mentioned earlier. Some are also MPs who are doing that.
So, William, I do not want to assume that Dr. Kingsley Nyankun just walked and chose those two individuals. We've read the statement from the Electoral Commission right here on the program. It doesn't seem to give background as to whether or not there were prior conversations ahead of Dr. Kingsley Nyankun walking straight to them and giving them money. I'm wondering whether you had any further information to that effect, which probably could be contributing to why the EC has immediately had to let go of these two individuals.
Well, no. What we know is that before this particular exercise, the Electoral Commission, gave some training to all its electoral staff. I'm talking about election staff or the election officers or those who are supposed to conduct this particular exercise. They were given training. Never did I hear that, or have I heard of any of the officers complaining that we've not been given the needed accoutrement or maybe money for food or water or what have you. So it does appear that this appears to be an isolated case because where I am now, the Sianse electoral area, I haven't seen any of the electoral or the observers from government walking to the electoral officers here to even exchange pleasantries. So this one has been an isolated case.
I want you to hold on whilst I read a bit of the statement coming from the NDC in your region. And it says that the Ashanti Regional NDC has become aware of a troubling incident captured on video depicting Electoral Commission officials allegedly receiving envelopes at a voting center at the ongoing Ejiso by-election. The party views this act with utmost concern and condemns the apparent bias and lack of professionalism demonstrated by the EC. I'll just read one more line. Following widespread report of this incident, the EC has announced a withdrawal of the implicated officers from ongoing duties, and there's some other details as well that this very statement gives. So this is coming from the NDC in your region, signed by Frank Amwakohene, Dr. Frank Amwakohene, who is the regional secretary. I'm wondering whether supporters of the NDC have been expressing more views beyond what we are seeing on the statement.
Most of the NDC guys that have come across as far as this particular by-election is concerned are seriously campaigning for Pablo Uswe Diomi. not too long ago, I met the former regional chairman of the party, Obimpe, and at a point that Kwabena Osu-Aduomi was even granting us interview, he was like, look, we don't have time. Just stop this interview and let's move. We need to get to the ground and ensure that people are voting as we planned. So they have been very, very consistent when it comes to supporting Kwabena Osu-Aduomi. So yes, in as much as they are worried or they are expressed concern about this particular development, they are also focused in ensuring that Kwabena Osu-Aduomi win this particular election.
Thank you very much, William Evans Inkum. He is leading the charge for our coverage of the Ijiso by-election in the Ashanti region. He's our Chief Northern Bureau.
Now, well, maybe quickly before and while we are at it here on your election command center, stay with us because we're staying the same in that constituency. If you go on our Facebook page right now at 3FM927, we're streaming live that video that captures this member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency in the Ashanti region, Dr. Kingsley Nyako. Is being caught on camera handing over an envelope suspected to contain cash, which has been confirmed because, according to William Evans Inkum, he's been granting interviews in the region indicating that he indeed gave the Electoral Commission officials money to buy water. Now, if you look at the size of the envelope in the video we are streaming right now on Facebook, you're the best judges of that. And so we're not going to put out any opinion, but go on our Facebook page right now at 3FM927. You would see the video.
He takes the white envelope from his back pocket, and then hands it over to the woman and gives a signal that is between if I'm just interpreting what I see, is for the two of you, shaking his hands between the two individuals. So that video is streaming live on Facebook right now at 3FM927. Martin Prebo is private legal practitioner. He's also seen this video we're talking about right now. Council, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Now, should the Ghana Police Service be interested in this matter and not leave it just for the Electoral Commission's internal investigation? Because as we speak, the EC officials, that's the temporary officials, have been withdrawn. But the Member of Parliament has been explaining that he gave them money indeed, but it was for water. Council.
Wow. We can't allow this to continue like this. Not at all. We can't. Because, you see, the law is clear that generally, when you have public officers undertaking their functions during elections, they are not to be seen taking gifts, etc. Yes, because as soon as you're taking a gift, straight away, we'll be going to the realm of corruption. Because if the EC can't provide water for its officers, EC cannot provide water for its officers. This is an infantile explanation. Because for all their lives, why is it that it's today that he's chosen to give them water? I mean, come on. You see, the politicians need to spare us this kind of infantile reasons. How can you say that he's giving them water? He's saying that the EC can't give them water. This looks, it's so ridiculous. Look, let's just call a spade a spade. This is going in the realm of corruption. That is what we should be looking at. That is exactly what we should be looking at. Let's not kid ourselves. Because, you see, sometimes we try to come up with fanciful possibilities that, it may be this, it may be that. I'm even happy that at least it's admitted that it is money. You should see some senior party people already saying that, who says it is money? Where's the evidence that there is money in that envelope? You see? So Mr. Nyako is done well. He's shamed those who are already trying to find very lame and fanciful excuses for him. But look, he should just come out, spill the beans, just tell us exactly what he intended to do, which is to corrupt public officers who are undertaking an election exercise. We should say it because, look, it's about time we started confronting the truth. Instead of this kind of situation where we have people are caught with money, millions of dollars, remember Cecilia Dape's money, and yet they would deny that they've committed no offense when the offense is quite glaring. We know that, look, this money is beyond your income, etc., and yet you'll find people giving all manner of reasons. I mean, so this case reminds me vividly of the Cecilia Dapa matter again. So for me, I think that what the police should do is that somebody should report the EC having withdrawn its officers. The EC should go ahead and present the matter to the police. Let the police go into it, and then we will see how it pans out. Because that is how we develop a democracy. We can't play with this, and especially in the context of all the noise making in recent months. You know, since the Cecilia Dapa matter, we've had other cases, SML, and even before SML. You remember, just around the Cecilia Dapa matter, there was also the case of the DC. You know, the OSC prosecuting the DC nominee somewhere in the Ashanti region, who also bribed the election, the district assembly, the delegates, right? Yes, and he's in court. So we've had this matter of corruption in public elections, at least in the past few months. So Mr. Nyaku has no excuse at all, being a lawmaker. And I'm sure he was in Parliament when they made the new law, Act 1034, that deals with corruption. And as part of corruption, they also have the electoral offenses. So I'm talking about Section 256 of the Criminal Offences Act, where they amended the old one and now they've enhanced the punishment. When a person, so the law, to paraphrase, says that a person shall not act in a manner that amounts to corruption. So I'm interested in the corruption, blah, 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 in respect of a public election. So I've left out the other part. The other part is intimidation, personation. They don't apply here. We are talking about corruption in an election. You say, yes. So Mr. Nyaku has no excuse. I think the EC should report to the police and let the police go on with the investigation.
I see. But the special prosecutor should also take interest in this matter, especially because he is investigating previous incidents of vote buying, is it not?
Oh, yeah. Hey, did I say police generally? Sorry, because it's corruption. Hey, it says OSC. Well, I don't know. OSC, because the provision talks about corruption. Yes, so when it's corruption, it's OSC. Yes. If it's intimidation or personation, then it will be the police. But the first part, because we've given the power to investigate corruption to the OSC. And that's how come the other area on I mentioned that the DC nominee for some certain district assembly is before the court. So that's what we should be looking at.
I see. So those who have been putting up this argument of defense that we shouldn't preempt this matter because we don't even know what the content of the envelope that was given to these people, it's baseless, you say?
Absolutely. It's a shame. And you see old people. Look, it's about time we ratcheted up the criticism and condemnation of old people, people beyond 70 years who should be leading us to set up a very strong and straight society, who are rather involved in trying to find very lame excuses. Yes, one of the very senior persons I've seen on a certain platform, a senior MPP man, he's over 70 years, saying that who says there's so disgusting. And like you see, this is what they've done in this country, hasn't found this right place in this world. Supporting thievery at the least opportunity. So please, those people saying that Netanyahu has shamed them, and he's been bold enough
that
to say that
many of the market women,
so he's shown that he's
nothing
taking a few steps towards the truth, but he should just finish it. Look, he should admit it so that the law will take its course against him, so that it will serve as a signal, as a warning to the rest of us in society. Yes.
Mr.
Go ahead.
No, please land.
Yeah, so I just want to draw a quick parallel. You see the Donald Trump trial that started. Why is the Trump trial going on? It's because the lawyer, Cohen, a lawyer, he could have also given fanciful excuses. But lawyer Cohen saw that, no, he should speak the truth so that Donald Trump will be brought to justice. And you see that that's happened. There's another officer, I've forgotten his name right now. He also just admitted the truth. At the trial, he took the stand and admitted the truth. And there are 1,001 cases out there where people speak the truth. But Ghana, you catch thieves and older people, they will say, oh, no, say it's not true. then they will look for technicalities, then it becomes a useless case. No, Mr. Nyaku should be brave. He should just spill the beans that he intended to influence them so that the law will take its course against him and it will serve as a warning to the rest of us.
But let's just take the fact as we have it now. He has indirectly admitted that he's given them money, except to say that he gave them the money for water. With that admission, subtle admission,
MPP officials are sharing monies everywhere. Complaint that I had was
that comments.
Okay, yes, when you say arrest, let me quickly say it. I'll say yes, by account of this rider. Yes, when you ask for arrest, let's explain what we mean. Not that I'm not in support of arresting him and keeping him in custody months. No. He's an MP, and not just because he's an MP, but what I mean is that we've gone past that time where you arrest the person, throw him into custody for months on end. No, I led cases in the Supreme Court where the Supreme Court made cases non-bailable, and then the other decision, 48-hour rule. Don't keep the person for more than 48 hours. And natural fact, if you want to keep him for more than 48 hours, then quickly go to court. It's only a judge who can grant that power to keep a suspect beyond 48 hours. Then table number 1 itself, don't imprison surety. You see, so we've made a lot of progress. So yes, if you arrest, when you say arrest the MP, Honorable Nyako, what that would mean is that yes, you bring him in, you say, Honorable, you are under arrest. He's touched, and then he'll be given terms, bail terms. Then he'll bring people to come and bail him. Then he goes home. Yes, I'm not in favor of keeping him in custody. No, go through with the trial. If he's found guilty, then he can go to Nsawam to serve his term.
Since this news broke out, just finally, let me first acknowledge the presence of Dr. Asa Sante. He's a political analyst with us. But my last question to you, Lawyer Kwebu, before you go, since this incident became public, the EC has issued a statement. We've read excerpts of it, NDC as well. We haven't heard from the MPP. What do you expect?
Oh, naturally, right now they are down because they've been shamed. Obviously, it's down. It's embarrassing for them. So, and that's how come, as I've told you, very senior people that you expect to speak the truth are already trying to give very lame excuses, which have all been dissolved by the statement that Mr. Nyako himself is made. So you can expect that the NP is quiet because they are embarrassed. But they should come out and say, listen, the law should take its course. They will not shield anybody. That's what we need. Otherwise, if we don't, Ghana will continue to sink. We all know the bad governance that Akrofi has led us into for the past 7.5 years. And so, we want to do better. In this last 6 or 7 months, we should try and do better. So you should ask the party people to disassociate themselves. The party should disassociate themselves from any criminal conduct and say that the OSC should go into the matter, and then let's see how it goes.
All right, we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Martin Pegbu, who is a private legal practitioner. Like I just told you, we also do have on the line with us Dr. Asa Sante. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us on Hot Edition.
Good evening.
I'm sure you've been following developments so far. Let me ask you the last question I did ask of Martin Pegbu, which is that after this bribery allegation came out, and we've had the MP admitting that he gave the money to the EC officials, but it was for water.
And now
we've
for
seen
the today's
EC
election,
issue a statement, and we've seen the NDC as well. We haven't heard from the MPP. Are you surprised?
Oh, I'm not surprised because in politics anything can happen. But it's said that is unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that, this is your stronghold. So even if you are giving money for water and all that, you shouldn't have done that because anything of the sort, especially when election is going on, will be, be taken into something. It will be misconstrued to be something, even if that is not the case. But it is never done. You don't do it, and it creates all manner of problems within the system. Election must be foolproof. Anything that creates doubts obviously raises eyebrow within the society. So it's unfortunate. But the good news is that it will go through investigation, and then we will know what has really transpired.
How do you think this would influence how, for instance, the supporters of Diomi, the independent candidate, and he himself, who have been alleging that there have been issues of vote buying, how do you think this would influence whether or not they accept the election results eventually if it doesn't go for them?
That one, nobody can predict what will happen, but it's my prayer that the election, in spite of what has happened, it will be smoothly conducted, and when they finish with the accounting and they declare results, whoever has won will be congratulated by the loser, and then we abide by the rules of the game. But as to whether they will accept or not, we only have to wait and see.
Dr. Sasante, it appears that the impunity of vote buying is increasing by the day. I mean, previously we were talking about candidates inducing delegates or voters with money. Now we are seeing a certain daring mode of persons of interest in an election now trying to induce, or in whatever form, the electoral officers at a particular polling station. That's certainly concerning, to say the least, is it not?
Oh, yes, definitely. It's a worrying situation because, you see, in election, you allow people to choose who they want to regard as their leader. That's all. So anything that does not go according to the rules of the game obviously is an aberration and cannot be countenanced. What we are seeing is unfortunate. But you see, this society has been playing ostrich when it comes to the issue of what inducement, manipulation, and all that. Anytime that issue is brought to the fore, political actors come in quickly to dismiss it and as if nothing has happened. That hypocritical position in this country is what really gets into my skin, because every time people talk about inducement and all that, you see them coming out, all the political actors coming to say, hey, it's not the case and all that, unless somebody is caught and all that. But you see, how long can we be hypocritical in these things? Otherwise, we are not helping ourselves. The parties, they do this. They influence people. For me, as a student of politics, I've observed over the years, the night before election, I tell you, things happen. This is where you see manipulation, inducement, harassment, and all the evils that accompany electoral processes take place at that time. But you see, that is a free-for-all. So you don't have people, defending anything or kicking against things because it's free for everybody is in it. This country must take things seriously and look at this because we have a democracy. We are gradually making sure that the democracy is endured. But these are some of the things that, throw spanner in the work of what the this democratic enterprise. We need to shy away from this.
We need to shy away from it. And in fact, that point you made earlier, that people
becomes an MP
to even try to explain the situation away, and it gets quite annoying. I mean, how do you respond to those who say that we shouldn't, in this particular instance of what we are seeing in this video that's gone viral involving the Kwadaso Member of Parliament, the NPP MP, they say we shouldn't preempt this issue because we don't even know what is the content of the envelope that he gave to the EC officials. Will that argument suffice from what you say?
Oh, that argument is a bogus one. Bogus in a sense that nobody is preempting. My position is that investigation will go on, but I'm saying that act alone, all right, bringing something out where electoral process is going on is something, even if it is not meant to influence anybody, it raises an eyebrow. And these are the things that really undermine the quality of elections, and it creates all manner of problems. And it is unnecessary because this is that party stronghold. So you would rather work towards safeguard the whole process and all that. Things of this nature send very different signals to people. Imagine NDC were in the system and then this thing had been done. Do you think the story would have been the same? Imagine that this by-election took place in, in another constituency where the other party is strong there, and you see an opposing candidate trying to bring something out, the story would have been different. So we are saying that the intention associated with it and the whole exercise is what really undermines the integrity of the election. But as to the content and all that, that's a different story. So we are saying that for free and fair election, there should not be any effort at doing anything that will raise an eyebrow so as to cause dissatisfaction and then, undermine the quality of the election. That is where people like us come in as observers of the democratic space.
And a very important point indeed. But if we expand the conversation even beyond what just happened and with this suspected bribery of these electoral officers at that polling station. I mean, prior to this today, we've saw a lot of activity. I mean, this constituency, although a stronghold of the MPP, witnessed a lot of political activity ahead of today with the president, the vice president, all going there making statements targeted at Governor Uswe, who's a 3-time member of parliament who is now going independent. I mean, what does all of this tell you? Does it present a potent...
What do 100 cities do to you if you collect it? Whilst you get somebody when he comes to...
look at each election and handle it the way it comes. And especially when you have a hand parliament where you are par in terms of your strength with opposition. And so a vote like this is so crucial, so critical that you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You will understand why they paraded all their big guns and then let them go there to speak to that. That is how it ought to be done. There is nothing untoward about that. But you see, at the end of the day, is the one who is able to make effective use of resources and make effective use of a strategy which is workable and a message that resonates with the people. These are the things that really will win the game. It's not the intimidation, it's not the harassment, that. All these things, they do count a lot. But when people decide that enough is enough, I tell you, you are on your way home.
I just wanted to find out briefly, though, when you look at the history of the NPP, it's taken the Ejiso constituency in most elections or a lot of elections that we've seen as we've had the data. And of course, we are not dismissing the bit about Diomi coming in because he came from the fold. Why do you think, if not for the argument of impunity when it comes to bribery, that the NPP would go ahead and still give out money in a place that ideally the party should have gone to sleep over?
Yeah, you are dealing with somebody who is from within. Diomi is not a strange person to
Akrofi, Pune area, where the MC has parked his car and was sharing money.
And he has come out. Remember, 3-time MP. He's a guy who has won in terms of highest votes in the constituency. He has his footprint in terms of road construction that he had done for these people and all that. For this type of election, you look at constituency-specific issues. So he's been a man on the ground. He has been there for years. He's very much alive to the needs of the people and all that. And if you look at the kind of support that he has, it is cause for worry for the ruling party. And that is why you are seeing the jostling and all that. Remember that any vote that will go in favor of Diomi will change the dynamics in parliament, where MPP will be in government, but will be in opposition in parliament, and you know the consequence of that. And that is what they want to avoid. But you can only avoid this when you have been able to satisfy the needs of the people, and that you are only working to make sure that the constituency stay alive. You don't only go in when there is by-election where you pretend to be serving their interests. All these things have been considered, and the people have taken political notice of this. So a time like this, when they come out and vote forcefully against you or not. Remember that in Ghana, our election revolves around what we call the dominant party model against the rational choice model. The dominant party model says that, look, people vote irrespective of message, but because of the tradition and the party that is in power or is in that constituency, which is strong. The rational choice is that, look, people vote based on the things that derive from the party, whether your policies, the people who stand and all that. So right now, Diomi versus the MPP is Diomi being represented by that school of thought that says that it is rational choice against the dominant party model. Which one will win? And this is a function of how you've been able to organize your resources, your strategy, your messages, and above all, you are able to campaign and campaign vigorously. That's why it's becoming what it's a very hot contest. Remember that history is serving as a guide in Ashanti region with regards to what Formina, and then what do you call the Kwai and all that. So these things are fresh in the minds of the MPP, and a lot of things are weighing heavily on their minds, and that is why you've seen a certain type of attitude and all that. It's all boils down to this, because at the end of the day, if Edu means you take the seats, then they are in okra soup.
Okra soup, he says. But thank you very much. We wait to see what happens by close of day, whether it will be Eduomi who will emerge winner or Kwabena Boateng for the MPP. But thank you, Dr. Asante. He's a political analyst. Thank you for sharing those views with us.
It's live here on your Election Command Center. It's a special coverage of the counting and the sorting of the ballots in the Ejiso constituency by-election. We're live on the ground, bringing you up to speed with everything that's happening every step of the way across the various polling stations in that constituency. Here on your Election Command Center, also live on at 3FM 927 on Facebook. If you go on our Facebook page right now at 3FM 927, we're showing you videos of the counting and the sorting that's going on in some of the polling stations in the Ejiso constituency. We've been having a lengthy conversation on the incident that happened today involving the Member of Parliament for the Kwadaso constituency. That's Dr. Kingsley Nyako was caught on camera handing over an envelope to some electoral officers, that's Electoral Commission officials at a polling station in the ongoing by-election at the Ejiso. Has been granting interviews in the region, explaining that the money he gave to them was for them to go and buy water. That has raised a lot more questions about exactly what's going on in there right now, and so many. Lawyer Martin Pebo, you heard him earlier, together with also Dr. Asante, all calling for further investigations into this matter, including a call to the special prosecutor to get into this. And Ibrahim Abubakar is a man on the ground, together with also William Evans Inkum, who is on. And Ibrahim, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for connecting with us. Where exactly are you, and what's happening in the polling station where you are?
Well, Alfred, I'm currently at we decided to come here because this is where the MPP's candidate, Kwabena Boateng, site, and this is where he casted his ballot. And interestingly, out of the 13 polling stations, I've not gotten results from all the polling stations, but so far I've gotten about 8 out of the 13. And all the 8, you realize that Kwabena Boateng is leading the Eduomi. For instance, at the Onwiro Park Educational Complex, where the MPP candidate voted, he had 184, whilst Eduomi had 44. Then the others had some 1, some 0. Then very close to that place, we had the Onwiro Eduomi had 46, and Kwabena Boateng also having around 200 votes. But interestingly, you also move to areas like Beatrice, where we know Eduomi has strong base there. And the results coming there also, most of the polling stations, we are having Eduomi winning there. For instance, at the Beatrice Akora Park, where we know Eduomi voted for, we have MPP's Kwabena Boateng garnering 51 votes, whilst Eduomi having 340 votes. So when you go to Beatrice, you could realize that the margin is very huge. But at Bonre, where we had some MPP regional executives last week going there, and they were voted at, especially the regional chairman, and we are having mixed votes when it comes to some of the polling stations, and very, very close. For instance, at Bonre, we have Kwabena Boateng garnering 75 votes, whilst Eduomi having 81 votes. Then Bonre SHS, Kwabena Boateng having 91, whilst Eduomi having 88 votes. Then very close to Bonre School Assemblies of God, and Kwabena Boateng having 141, whilst Eduomi having 128. So for now, we cannot be certain who is leading in terms of the race, because the results that are trickling in, some areas you have Eduomi winning, other areas you also have Kobina Boateng winning. But generally, after the elections, we were looking at the turnout, whether it has improved before the end of the elections. And you hardly get 50% of voters voting at a particular, expected voters voting at a particular voting center. So the turnout is very, very low. As usual, anytime we have by-elections, we sometimes see this kind of low turnout. So for now, you see people jubilating, but it's a bit moderate because they've not gotten the entire result, and for that matter, they don't want to jubilate now, and later they will find themselves wanting. So the jubilation has been done in moderation, and both at Beatrice, where Idiomi is from, and also at Onwe, where Kobina Boateng is from.
Fantastic point there, and Ibrahim Abubakar is on the ground for us. Ibrahim, appreciate the good work you're doing. Thank you so much. And I know that you are still there in that constituency. In fact, that polling station where you are right now, we'll be getting a lot more information across the other polling stations. Thank you so much for connecting with us.
Your call has been put.
Ibrahim Abubakar is one of our men, our commanders here on your election command center in the Ajiso constituency. As we're hearing right now, the celebration, you hear the vuvuzela being blown on the background, and quite frankly, he made a very, very important point, Beatrice, that they are celebrating in moderation, because the numbers we're getting and the votes, and let's put it on record that this preliminary, that's this patterns or the provisional results that we're getting, the Electoral Commission will certify these results as we're getting later. So this is just to give you an idea of how the voting has been, at least based on the counting so far. The provisional results we're getting from the Bonyere SHS polling station A. Kobina Boateng of the MPP, 75. Kobina Uswediomi, independent candidate, former member of parliament, 81. Bonyere SHS B. Kobina Boateng of the MPP, 91. Kobina Uswediomi, 88. Then Bonyere Assemblies of God. Kobina Boateng of the MPP, 141. Kobina Uswediomi, 128. Now, and this is the Bonyere area where the historic Bonyere community, where we have Kente and all of that. 2 weeks ago, when the MPP officials visited this place, they were hooted at. In fact, they were driven away from that place. Now, if you look at the parting of the results, in areas, the polling stations in the Bonyere area that Kobina Boateng of the MPP is winning, the margin is really close. It's not that wide. If you look at what's happening in Besiase is where Kobina Uswediomi voted. Look at the margins. In the Besiase Primary A polling station, provisional results, Kobina Boateng of MPP, 51. Kobina Uswediomi, 340. Now, if you go to Onye is where Kobina Boateng of the MPP voted. And look at the margins. The Onye Primary polling station A, provisional results. Kobina Uswediomi, 46. Kobina Boateng of MPP, 200. So if you compare what's happening based on the provisional results we're getting, the margins where Kobina Uswediomi is winning in Besiase, for instance, is quite wide as compared to what's happening in Onwe, where Kobina Boateng voted.
Indeed, and even within that same Onwe, around the Roman Catholic Church polling station, you would have Kobina Boateng of the MPP having 231, and then Kobina Uswediomi having 32. That's really huge.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
It's a huge one. And these are provisional results that we're getting and monitoring quite closely what's happening here on your election command center. So stay with us every step of the way. We're giving you all the details you need to know and the extensive coverage here on Hot Edition on your election command center. But we'll take a quick detour because the minority in parliament is making a demand.
Indeed, the group is calling on minister-designates to abstain from assuming the role of presidential representatives. In a statement, the NDC caucus called on the Chief of Staff to withdraw any unauthorized designations of minister-designates as representatives of the President. The call comes amid allegations that the Chief of Staff, Remo Pare, made temporary appointments for minister-designates awaiting parliamentary approval, labeling them as representative of the President. Dr. Okoboy, for instance, Minister of Health designate, on Monday inspected a health facility acting as the President's representative. However, he justified his new role.
Beatrice, listen to what Okoboy said, that he has received a letter appointing him as the President's representative in the ministry. Look, the President's representative in any ministry is the minister. And there's a clear procedure for appointing a minister. You have nominated them, they have been vetted, and Parliament is yet to approve these nominees. Why must they go and hold themselves as ministers and call themselves the President's representative in those ministries? This is an illegality. And Okoboy says that we can't leave such ministries without direction or without any policy and directives and all that. My God, the conventions have been that if there is a ministry without a minister, some sector ministers are given the caretaker responsibility. And as we speak now, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo has appointed Honorable Eslowusu to be the caretaker minister for the Ministry of Health.
Maybe she wasn't available, so Okoboy had to go.
How can that be? It's laughable. How can that be? And these rants that Okoboy went and did at Kolebude, who can't do this rant? Haven't you heard the minority calling on the powers that be to exempt the health facilities from this doomsday that is ongoing? Haven't we said so? So if you have any responsible, government in place, they might have done this law, not to deliberately flout our rules and regulations, our constitution, breach the constitution. But calling our bluff, even if you not approve the ministers, who ask them to go and work anyway. This is what the President is doing. And that is not a mark of a Democrat.
You know, these are very critical ministries. Health, you're talking about finance.
I agree, but I'm saying that
maybe the government
there is a minister, so we should throw our laws away.
Not necessarily. I'm just saying maybe the government is feeling the pinch of Parliament's inability, or should I put it?
I am saying that already every Ghanaian is complaining that the size of government has been bloated. So there are other ministers who can be responsible for other sectors. We are even of the opinion that the size of government is even bloated. And I have told you that the President himself has appointed somebody to be in charge. What the President is simply doing, and this is what he has been doing all this while, by calling chiefs to be outside and greeting him like a king, telling us that, look, you can go to hell, Parliament can go to hell. Even if you don't approve my nominees, I'll ask them to go and work.
So you actually see this as gross disrespect of...
Gross disrespect to the whole country, not Parliament alone. It's gross disrespect for the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, gross disrespect to our laws, gross disrespect for everybody in Ghana. This is what the President can't do, deduce this from his process.
Okay, but Mr. Akando, can't you also meet the country halfway? You're not just talking about the MPP government or administration. You're talking about meeting the country halfway where, yes, aside from health, where you have Eslowusu Ekufo, other sectors, they need
I am saying
really
that there is no
ones.
sector, Beatrice, listen to me and listen to me, health. I am saying there is no sector that the President has not appointed a caretaker minister. Name one.
Beyond the statements that you've released, what does the minority intend to do about the situation?
And I'm saying that if the President, the Vice President, the Chief of Staff are listening and they are Democrats and they have any integrity to protect, we have drawn their attention to the illegality they are committing. Don't need to give him an ultimatum or hold a machete on him or them to do the needful. If they have to protect them, to do the needful.
And you heard the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, who is also a member of the minority group of the House, Kwabena Minta Akando, speaking to me earlier, reacting to Health Minister Designate Dr. Bernard Okoboy's inspection of a health facility. Acting as the president's representative. You're still here on Hot Edition. My name is Beatrice, and shortly Michael Ogbudu will be bringing you the latest in business. Stay with us.
Well, hello there. Good evening and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, LPG Marketers Association project up to 3% drop in LPG prices at the pumps soon. We have details of that and more. I am Michael Ogbudu. Please stay. Well, thank you for staying with us. Straight into our top story, as the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana says prices of the commodity is expected to fall by about 3% in the coming days. This follows predictions by the Institute for Energy Security, IES, of some reduction in fuel prices in the country due to drops on the global market. Speaking to 3 Business, Vice President of the association, Gabriel Kumi, says the price reduction could have been more if not for the depreciation of the local currency. Take a listen.
IES is a very credible institution, so sometimes it's difficult to challenge the predictions of IES. But yes, what we are picking indicates that LPG is likely to see a slight decline in the pump price. So yes, if all things goes on as expected, beginning tomorrow, we expect a very slight decline in the pump price of LPG. We are not expecting anything more than 3%. Yeah, and we would have had a much more reduction in price, in the pump price. But unfortunately, our city hasn't done too well. Over the past 2 weeks, the city has depreciated by about 1.1%, and that has contributed in a way not seeing the full impact of the decline we saw on the international market, on the local market.
So that was Gabriel Kumi. He is the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana. Now, the Ghana Exim Bank is poised to inject vitality into the country's SME sector by earmarking a substantial 160 million Ghana cedis for loans this year, an increase of about 17 million cedis from the previous year's target. Addressing participants at the May Day edition of the Tuesday market organized by the bank, Head of SME Banking, Bright Evans Darko, underscored the transformative potential of these funds on the economy.
Currently, the SME portfolio of the bank is 143 million Ghana cedi, and we are hoping to increase that to 160 million by the end of the year. What we expect the outcome to be is that we expect more factories to be established by these SMEs. We expect them to get new machines so that they can upscale their production. We expect them to get the necessary working capital out of this loan that will be given them to be able to meet the demands of their customers. So we expect that this additional funding that will be given from now to the end of the year will create more jobs, and it will also be able to reduce imports of goods from the country. When we reduce import, we save the country the needed foreign exchange that we direly need to bring in goods in future.
Head of SME Banking at Ghana Exim Bank, Bright Evans Ado, speaking there. Away from that, Senior Research Fellow at Imani Center for Policy and Education, Dennis Asare, is urging government to create more supportive policies for businesses in the country to improve foreign direct investment. Research by the Center and the Ghana Netherlands Business and Culture Council indicates that the effects of COVID-19 coupled with domestic fiscal weakness has affected Ghana's economy, leading to increased cost of doing business in the country. These developments have heavily affected foreign direct investment flows, which are very critical in building Ghana's economy.
The key issue that we identified is that businesses are facing very high regulatory and compliance costs, energy and utilities cost is high, as well as the high level of taxes that they pay. But despite the high cost of doing business, we identify that there's very high optimism. Most of the businesses identify that they are going to increase their investment in Ghana, while another larger category of them are also going to keep their investment at the same level. Based on these responses that we receive from the businesses, what we believe is that if you're able to create a lot more supportive policies, create an enabling business environment, we will be able to increase foreign direct investment in the country. Again, what we also believe is that government must also streamline the regulatory and compliance process to address the high cost that businesses face, as well as collaborate with Chamber of Businesses to understand the needs of the businesses, and through that they will be able to increase foreign direct investment, which is very much needed given our current economic situation.
So that was Senior Research Fellow at Imani Center for Policy and Education, Dennis Asari, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Billy is on standby to bring you the latest. Please stay tuned.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. We're going to start off from the local scene because Dreams FC coach Karim Zito believes his accomplishments have not been duly recognized by Ghanaians due to the perceived association with the Ghana Football Association president Kurt Okreku, who has faced criticism for the poor management of football in the country. Zito, who guided Dreams FC to a historic semi-final appearance in the CAF Confederation Cup on the club's first attempt, expressed his frustration during a post-match conference.
You know, Zito, but you've attributed your thinking against me because of that. So let's leave it like that. You know where this voice came from. Still believe. You understand me? So for this question, I won't answer. I'm a Ghanaian. If I'm called to go and work, I'll go and work. If they say stay down, I'll sit down. I have no problem about that. I will never regret this game. Maybe I have to go back and reorganize myself. When I get the second opportunity, I know what to do.
That was Karim Zito, the head coach of Dreams FC. Moving on to European football, Barcelona striker Robert Lewandowski has set sights on winning the Pichichi Award for the second year running. Now, he scored a hat-trick as Barcelona defeated Valencia by 4-2 on Monday.
Yeah, if we create a lot of situations for them to score the goal, also for me it will be easier to score the goal. Okay, today I scored 3 goals, but most of them was from the set pieces. But sometimes it's difficult if the opponent play like that, very defensive. We didn't have many space, but in the end it doesn't matter how. More important that we scored the goal. So of course, always in my head is like had my team, and if I have opportunity to not always even that score the goal, but had to opportunity to score on the goal, to be ready for the next situation. It's also very important for the striker, and I think today even the free kick, I was speaking with Ferran, because Ferran also tried to score the free kick. Ferran, I feel that in my position.
That was Robert Lewandowski, a striker for Barcelona. Now, the Pichichi Award is given to a player who scores the most goals in a La Liga season. Last year, Lewandowski won it. This year, he scored 16 goals and he's 3 behind the current top scorer of the league, who is a striker for Girona. Now, it's Champions League night. The semi-finals begin with Real Madrid facing Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena later tonight. Coach of Bayern Munich, Thomas Tuchel, is wary of the threat that Jude Bellingham poses. And Jude Bellingham is a midfielder for Real Madrid who has been tipped to win the next Ballon d'Or.
Players Jude is extraordinary development. I mean, he was fantastic here in Bundesliga. How he progressed shows the level of personality. I think this is only possible with a huge personality. Everyone who plays for Real Madrid plays also with the pressure of that shirt, plays with the pressure to play for this club and with the demands and the expectations. He handles it like he has never done anything else before. He's very dangerous and very, very physical in his game. He's absolute key player in a very offensive position. We are well aware of it, and we try to find solutions to.
That was Thomas Tuchel, the head coach of Bayern Munich, and also Real Madrid's head coach, that is Carlo Ancelotti, believes Bayern Munich is a formidable opponent despite their struggles in the Bundesliga this season. Let's hear from the man who has won the Champions League on 4 different occasions.
Difficulties in Bundesliga, but in Champions League they did really well. Above all, the quarter-final against Arsenal, that they beat them against a team, Arsenal, a really good team. So they played really well with working hard as a team. So, and also they have a fantastic quality in front. Everyone knows Harry Kane, Gnabry, Sané, Musiala, the fantastic young players. So difficult game as it used to be a semi-final.
That was Carlo Ancelotti, the head coach of Real Madrid. Let's look at some of the statistics ahead of this game between Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich have a combined 20 trophies. Real Madrid have won 14 and Bayern Munich have won 6. And this will be their 8th semi-final meeting. But the key one here is Bayern Munich are winless in their last 7 games against Real Madrid, losing 6 of those meetings. And so Bayern Munich have really been struggling against Real Madrid in recent times. Hopefully tonight they're able to get a victory over Los Blancos in the competition. But here are the starting lineups for the game, which is set to take place at 7 p.m. tonight. For Bayern, Manuel Neuer is in goal. In defense, we have Joshua Kimmich, Dyer, Kim, and Mazraoui. In defense, in midfield, we have Laimer, Goretzka, Sané, Müller, and Musiala. In attack, we have Harry Kane, who is leading the line for Bayern Munich. For Real Madrid, Andre Lunin is in goal. In defense, we have Ferland Mendy, Antonio Rudiger, Nacho Fernandez, and Lucas Vazquez. In midfield, we have Toni Kroos, Aurelien Tchouameni, Federico Valverde, and Jude Bellingham. And in attack, we have Vinicius Jr., supported by Rodrigo. The 2 Brazilians will be leading the attack for Real Madrid. To our final story, defending champion Carlos Alcaraz has survived the scare against Jan-Lennard Struff to reach the quarterfinals of the Madrid Open in tennis. In a repeat of last year's final, Alcaraz was forced to a deciding set tie break by the German 23rd seed after missing out on 4 match points at 5-3. But the world number 3 prevailed in front of a home crowd to wrap up a 6-3, 6-7, 7-6 win after almost 3 hours. That brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Belishan, and of course, Beatrice is on standby with more details.
Because we're different, you look na idea. Yes, papa na ya no baby, I shall me obwase. Because obwase, because obwase, because obwase, because obwase, because obwase, because
Endubina Umangasa. Numanyanse on Tom Manipa when you feel doing and Sasa pay for FDA. Achi Dredian Gratui at
me better sauce. Miss Wabwas and win ye be a cameko. Many boys is shame me pen moments very dull. And I'm in better say, be a better more. Because we're a different you, way no plan idea. Yes, I papa, I am no baby, I shall me Wabwas. Because
Endubina Umangasa. Numanyanse on Tom Manipa when you fear doing watching and Sasa pin for no FDA. Achi Dredian Gratui at
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. We'll be bringing you Campaign Trail shortly. Of course, we'll be going back to Ejiso in the Ashanti region to bring you some more as counting is underway in various polling stations. But ahead of that, we still stay with the New Patriotic Party because the party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has announced that the highly anticipated credit scorecard for accessing loan facilities will begin operating later this year. The initiative, he says, aims to boost local businesses, addressing artisans and small-scale business owners at the Youth Connect Town Hall meeting. And he did that today in Koforidia as part of his tour of that region. Dr. Bawumia's tour to the parts of Eastern region marked the start of his nationwide campaign tour. Listen.
This project hopes to take children off the street, starting from this very community, and propel it nationwide. This is in line with government policy on gender, children, and social protection, where major interventions have been made under our administration, and we hope to do even more come next year by the grace of God, when I form a new government in Ghana. We can all take this as a challenge to help develop our country.
And you heard flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there. And you're still here on Hot Edition. Welcome to Campaign Trail. Like I told you just a few minutes ago, we're going back to Ejiso, the Ejiso constituency, where the by-election polls closed at 5 p.m. We understand that sorting out of ballot and counting underway in various polling stations across that constituency. We're joined on the line now by Adoma Pia. He's the MPP Ashanti Regional Secretary. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us on Hot Edition.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us on Hot Edition.
Thank you.
Let me first get your overall assessment of the exercise so far.
First of all, we thank God for having a good weather. And secondly, we thank the EC and the security services for providing us with security. The whole exercise was incident-free, and that's what we were expecting for.
The opponent, the main opponent, independent candidate, Kwabena Usu-Adiomi, ahead of the polls had alleged that there was massive, even on the day of voting, which is today, that there had been massive influence in terms of financial inducement. Did that come to the attention of the MPP?
No, I was given an area to monitor, and I did not cite any incident of manipulation in terms of vote buying or whatever. So that allegation has always been the excuses for politicians. If you are not doing well, then we tend to blame our opponents.
So that's an allegation you claim doesn't have evidence. But we've had a video which has currently gone viral of Dr. Kingsley Nyako, one of the MPs in the region. He's been caught on camera giving money in an envelope to 2 Electoral Commission officers, and he's actually confirmed to journalists that he gave the money to them for water. As a representative of the party in the region, how do you react to this?
Who confirmed that? Dr. Kingsley Nyako?
He himself said it, that he gave the money to the EC officials for water.
I'm hearing it from you for the first time, and I have to verify before I can say anything about that.
Are you claiming that you haven't seen the video at all? This has gone really viral.
No, I was preoccupied with my duty that was assigned to me. I was monitoring the election from Ampame, Menshia, Adadientem, and the connecting
of the market
areas. I've just come back to Ejiso. So I'm hearing this for the first time. My preoccupation was to see how my area will be incident-free, how I will get my results for my party. And I was not following the media out there. It was just some few minutes ago that Bright called me that you would have to connect with me.
It's quite surprising that you say that you're the regional secretary, in as much as you're dedicated to one polling center, as it were. It's surprising that you say you haven't seen the video. You don't even know that the Electoral Commission has issued a statement to this and withdrew those 2 officials that were seen receiving the money. The NDC, the opposition party, which is not taking part in this election, has even condemned this act. And you're saying that you have no idea of what has happened so far?
It is very surprising that you're expecting me to play the role of octopus. I am an individual. I'm going around monitoring what has been assigned to me, and you're expecting me to go around everywhere 205 polling stations. And you are saying that's very surprising. We carved the area out for officers to man. I was manning an area where I have no idea of what you are talking about. And as a lawyer, I speak to evidence. I cannot speak to what people are alleging. I speak to evidence. So let me verify my facts. If I verify that it's true, but you are rather expecting me to play the role of octopus.
You're yet to verify the facts, but do you have any preliminary? Do you have any preliminary comments?
As much as it's the duty of a journalist to verify the facts before going on air, it's the duty of a lawyer to verify the fact before I can speak to it.
At least
I have respectfully told you that I was manning the place, and you just don't want to believe that. You want me to toe the line that you want.
Okay, so I'm asking you, with this information giving, do you have any preliminary comment?
I do not have to make a preliminary comment. I have to verify from the man you are accusing. If I verify from the man, I know him, I know his number. I'm getting this information for the first time. If I called him and he confirms, then you can ask me for my opinion. But not until I have done that. My sister, you cannot push me to give an answer that will suit you, that it will not go down well with my integrity as a lawyer.
So let me ask you one last question before you go. You've seen or you heard about how the election has gone in at least a few other polling stations. Is the MPP still hopeful that your candidate would win this election?
We will win, my sister. You see, I will not downplay the weight of Honorable Ocansey. He's been an MP for the past 12 years. Before Honorable John Kuma came in, he has a weight, and I will not downplay that weight. But at the end of the day, I'm assuring you that we will carry the day. We are going to win this election. The results are coming. It's one from two polling stations, but the rest we are winning.
Well, here. Thank you very much, Adomapia. He's the Ashanti Regional Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party. Thank you for speaking to us on Hot Edition.
So here in your election command center, keeping tabs on what's happening in the Jiso constituency here on Campaign Trail on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond, and we'll connect with our correspondent shortly to just give us an update of what is happening right now. What we do know, polls have closed. Counting and sorting is going on in a number of the polling stations across the Jiso constituency, and we're monitoring that quite closely here on your election command center. The preliminary and or provisional results that we've gotten in some of the various polling stations dotted in that constituency. For instance, in the Bonyere area, the Bonyere Senior High School polling station E, we have Governor Boating of the NPP, provisional results 75 as against Governor Oswediome 81. Bonyere Senior High School polling station B, Governor Boating NPP 91, Governor Oswediome independent candidate 88. Assemblies of God Bonyere polling station A, Governor Boating of the NPP 141 as against Governor Oswediome 128. For Besiasi Primary A polling station, Governor Boating of the MPP 51 as against 340 polled by, according to the provisional results, Governor Oswediome 340. And you have the Bonyere that's the Bonyere area in the constituency as well. We have in there the 51 by Kwabena Boating as against 340 by Kwabena Oswediome. Then you have provisional results in the Ori area, Ori Primary Basic School A polling station. We have 51 polled by Kwabena Oswediome, 340 by Kwabena Boating, and Ori is where you have Kwabena Boating voting, so it's no surprise that you see the margin wide that much. And also Besiasi Primary A is where Kwabena Oswediome also voted, and that's why you see him, based on the provisional results, polling some 340 as against Kwabena Boating of the MPP 51. But we'll see how things play out here on your election command center. So stay with us, bring you a lot more information on this matter, and then also of how the provisional results are shaping up in that constituency here on your election command center. This is Campaign Trail on your election command center. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are welcome. We see a number of you sharing your thoughts with us on Facebook at 3FM 927, on Facebook at 3FM 927. Let's cross over to the constituency now and get some more information on what is happening. And as we speak, the sorting and counting going on in some of the constituents. Let's get into some of the messages that a number of you have been sending to us on Facebook as well right now here on your Election Command Center. Beatrice.
Indeed. So there's Obuasi Kofi Boache. John Mahama will lose 2024 elections like Honorable Ediomi in Ejiso. It's possible with Dr. Baumia. Well, there's another one. Ghana is not for jokes. There's that was from Emmanuel Badu. There is Kofi Prince. I thought Baolaya fixed the internet issues. There is okay, I can't read that one. So the person is just insulting. There is Kwame Jadam, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, who was captured on camera dropping an envelope before electoral officials, must also be picked by the police for interrogation immediately. There is, so that came from Kwame Jandam. There is Francis Kaswa Datus. Congratulations to Honorable Lawyer Kwabena Boateng. Breaking the 8 is on course. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia is the best candidate to lead Ghana. Special regards to Mavis Howe. Okay. There is Jama, who says Kwabena Boateng has won a Ejiso constituency with a comfortable lead. So it looks like people are going ahead of the EC declaring the official results there. There's still some more that we'll be bringing to you just very shortly.
Indeed, we have quite a number of you commenting and also sharing your thoughts with us here on your Election Command Center. Let's get into a bit more of the messages. This one here from Sagati says, Mother Ghana. Okay. Ken Berry says, God is at work and he won't stop till he, you say, exposes the MPP to the latter, you say. David Pamford, we acknowledge your message as well. Philip Dove. This one from Fidel Agbeko says, Alfred, my prayer is that the independent candidate should win the Jiso by-election to let the MPP know that Ghanaians are tired of, you say, their leadership. Fidel Agbeko, thank you. Sulemana Suhaili says, is watching us from Tamale. Francis Gameli Ayivi says, what was the Member of Parliament's job there at that moment in the first place? The police must be interested in this matter. More messages coming in at 3FM 927.
There's Boy Jefferson. The quantum of the amount or size seen in the video will be for the purchase of the Lake Bosumchi and not ordinary water. And there is also, okay, somebody's cursing Ghana there. I'm watching you. There's another person that is Wisdom, watching you live inside Chiana Katri in Upper East Region. This one is called Kufu. Okay, I don't understand what that means. Hey, so Ghanaians still believe in COVID. And yes, there's a comment for Lawyer Martin Pegu. We spoke to him earlier on that bribery allegation and indeed confirmed by Kingsley Nyako himself that he gave the money for water. So there, you can still send us some more, and there are some more messages that we can bring to you.
Crossover right now. William Evans Sinkum is at one of the coalition centers there in that constituency, constituency. Let's hear some more. William.
Trying to understand the motive behind it, of course, they also buttressing what Kwabena Owusu said in an earlier interview we had with him, that he also alleged that he from Brent, beyond all reasonable doubt, that the ruling New Patriotic Party is doing everything possible to win this particular election. Not too long ago, we also engaged him, and he was like he has heard and has seen for himself people being given money. But we could not independently verify that because that was, an allegation.
And this is your election command center. 29 minutes of the hour, 7 p.m. And this is the extended version of Hot Edition. And it's for good reason. Here on your election command center, bring you up to speed with everything that's happening in the Ajuso constituency. That long-awaited by-election occasioned as a result of the unfortunate incident, the passing of the Member of Parliament, Dr. John Kuma, the Deputy Finance Minister. And this has been a stronghold of the MPP over the period since this constituency was created. In fact, many would have thought that the MPP, we should all be even just going to bed right now with knowing that the MPP would have won this constituency hands down. It was supposed to be a walk in the park for the MPP winning this by-election, but from what we are seeing, this is one that they are taking quite seriously.
Indeed.
Because they do not want to leave anything to chance. And if you look at the history of people who have left the party in the Ashanti region to contest as independent candidates and how it has cost the party, you would understand why they had to marshal all their arsenals and guns ahead of the by-election today. I mean, Formina is fresh on our minds. The Bekwai constituency, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jose Usu, also has gone on that path before. They are not new to this. So you see why there was that kind of reaction and then also the kind of work that preceded today. If you look at the 2012 elections, for instance, the NPP won the parliamentary with over 80% of the total valid vote cast. That's over close to 68,000. That's in nominal values. In percentage terms, 81%, as against the NDC's 18%. And at the time, Kwabena Osu-Ediomi, who is now contesting as an independent candidate in this election today, was the candidate of the MPP in the 2012 parliamentary elections. And he polled over 60,000 votes, as against Augustus Andrews of the NDC, who polled some 18% of the votes, representing just a little over 13,000. The PPP fielded a candidate, but that's Isaac Pratt. He polled some 1%. And then you have the UFP, United Front Party, Richard Nanasari, 0.1%. That's 0.1%. Now, if you fast forward to the 2016 elections, Kwabena Osu-Ediomi, who is contesting as an independent candidate today, polled 83.8% of the valid vote cast. So that's against 2012 when he polled 81%. He inched up a bit. Obviously, you can understand that in every subsequent elections, you have an increase in the number of persons who are eligible to vote. So the voter population increases. And then also, if you take into consideration issues related to voter turnout and so on, you have a lot more people. But if you look at the percentage increase for Kwabena Osu-Ediomi in that subsequent election, he over 3% votes that he added to his 2012 vote, getting over 83% of the total valid vote cast, increasing his numbers from 61,000 to 64,500, as against 14.6 of the NDC. Gloria Huze of the NDC polled just about 14.6%. And the NDC has always changed candidates in this constituency. They've never maintained a candidate in that constituency because they always lose, and so this is not a place that, and you can understand why the NDC did not want to spend resources.
Less than 8 months to an election.
Yeah. So it was a prudent, from political analysts, was a prudent decision for them not to have even contested in this by-election. But then again, their absence is not being felt that much because Kwabena Osu-Ediomi, the 3-time Member of Parliament, is giving the NPP a run for their money.
Indeed.
In there, and that's what we're seeing right now. If you look at the 2020 elections that John Kuma contested on the ticket of the NPP, and he unseated Kwabena Osodiome, who was a sitting member of parliament, in a primary that was rocked with a lot of controversy. In fact, that was what led to Kwabena Osodiome taking that decision to leave the party, because he had raised fundamental concerns about the eligibility of some of the persons on the electoral album that was used for that primaries that John Kuma won. So there was a lot of bickering. In fact, that the disunity that led to him leaving the party, according to Kwabena Osodiome, has not been addressed.
But you know, the
There are
president
still issues
disagreed with him, and
that are still there.
Yes, and the thing is that if you are not identifying with the challenges that have been raised, then really you don't see it as solving any problem, because the president even asked him a pointed question. He's saying he's raising these issues. Is he saying that when he won, the issues were there and we still rigged them in his favor?
Let's hear from Ibrahim Abubakar shortly. He's also one of our correspondents in the region shortly.
You come and tell him, show proof of voting, not necessarily who voted for, then you dip his hand in his pocket and give you money. We inquired from him, and he said it was TNT, and not only this place, many other places. So those ones were there. And also they will tell you that because apathy has set in, people were not ready to come and vote. They had to move house to house just to convince people to come out and vote. And some will tell you they don't have transport, or you have to give them something before they come. And those were the assurances that they had to fulfill from the voters.
That's Ibrahim Abubakar giving us updates of what's happening. One of the polling centers where he is monitoring the counting. In fact, a number of the constituents who are keen on the outcome of this by-election are making their way to the coalition center in the constituency, where the final certified results will be declared by the Electoral Commission. Dr. Jonathan Asantiotre is a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, a political analyst. Is joining us on the telephone for a conversation. Dr. Asantiotre, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Campaign Trail on our Election Command Center. Hello, Dr. Asantiotre.
Hello, Alfred.
Yes,
Good evening.
yes. Thank you so much for joining us. And I mean, you've been following what's been happening in the Ejiso by-election today, from the allegations of vote buying to the viral video of this member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency seen handing over an envelope. In fact, he dropped the envelope before the two Electoral Commission officials who have been withdrawn by the Electoral Commission as we speak. We don't have any information whether they picked the envelope or not, but we saw in the video he throwing the envelope on the table and then walking away. We're getting information that he says that he gave them that envelope for them to go and buy water to drink, during this period. And then now we're seeing how things are playing out with respect to the parting of the votes at all. What's your own analysis of all the events today?
Good evening, Alfred. Good evening, Beatrice, and good evening to your cherished listeners. You see, gradually we are normalizing practices of this nature, and I think they have reared their ugly heads more than ever in the period of the MPP in government under the leadership of President Akrofi and that of Dr. Baumia. Now, it is just quite unfortunate that the EC officials who have no complaints to you about water, you will want to give them an incentive to go and buy water. What an irony. Now, we do not also have any evidence indicating that the EC officials returned the envelope, because that is equally not captured as far as the video is concerned. In the first place, EC officials are supposed to be referees. And so anything coming from any of the stakeholders should be construed as improper, and for which it should be condemned in no uncertain terms. That is one. Two, I think that what the EC has done is equally good and timely, in the sense that already the EC is suffering from credibility crisis as far as some stakeholders, the NDC and other, important civil society organizations are concerned. Therefore, it is important that they have taken this particular decision as early as practicable. But the other thing is that the EC has not been quite scrutinous. They've not been diligent when it comes to the recruitment processes that they've been putting in place with respect to these officers that they've been recruiting. That is the more reason why President Mahama has had cause to accuse the EC of recruiting certain, officers biased towards the MPP. Now, the EC comes out to deny something of that sort. So now it's about, coming out with evidence to prove the allegation that you are making. But if we have EC officials or officers that are prone to activities of this nature, then it tells me that the EC itself has not been diligent, they've not been scrutinous, they have not done proper due diligence with respect to background checks of some of these people that they have recruited into their fold to conduct functions of referees.
Is it fair to say that the EC has not been diligent just because of, this very allegation that has come out? And mind you, with the video, I've seen the video myself. I don't know whether you've seen it. You heard Alfred just summarizing it briefly, that we saw Dr. Kingsley Nyakun throwing the money on the table, but we don't know whether the people took it because he just did that. We didn't see them taking it and he turned off. So how do you conclude that indeed those people meant to have that, and therefore EC should have done a better work at knowing the kind of individuals that they got them on board for this?
This, for me, I'm telling you, is a testament of the allegation that the flag bearer of the NDC has leveled against, the EC. The point is that, do we have any evidence? Have we heard that they have returned the envelope to the giver? Why has the EC suspended these officers?
EC has,
and then continue with the investigation. Yes, continue with the investigation with a view that you don't want them to meddle in the affairs, of the electoral process.
EC has already withdrawn them. EC issued a statement saying that upon getting the information, those officers were taking off whilst investigations are going on.
I've not argued about that. I'm saying that certainly the decision that they have taken is right. Because already the EC is not in the good books of the main opposition party and their leadership and other civil society organizations. So they cannot, accept and tolerate things of that nature as far as their credibility is concerned. So that decision that they've taken is right, quite right. It is in order. Now, I am of the view that they should not waste much time with respect to, coming out with a finality of this particular, suspension. Because if it hangs too long, it is equally going to affect the integrity of the EC.
What do you mean by that?
Of course, envelope. Some Dr. Sebo is suggesting it could have been a handkerchief. That's just ridiculous.
Well, we've had Kingsley Nyakun confirming that it's indeed money that's in that envelope. So the man himself confirmed it. But the question of what it meant is asking about if this hangs on for too long. I just needed clarity on that.
Yes, if it hangs on for too long, it's still going to dent the credibility of the EC because it's like they would have treated the matter in a wishy-washy manner. And that is something that we don't have to, tolerate. As early as possible, once the giver has already said that it is something of this and that is the content, it is now left for the EC officers to defend themselves. Is it money? Why didn't you return the money back if you are not ready to accept it? There and there, you should have returned the envelope back to the giver. That is all. To ensure that you are not ready for it. Besides, I do not know the reason, the rationale behind giving something of that sort to EC officials, because the director of elections over there made us understand in the morning about an interview that he granted that our system is so foolproof that nobody can influence the process in any way. So on what basis would you go and give money for water to the EC officials? These are referees. Have they complained that they need water to drink? And it is EC's, because don't forget that EC has already sent their budget to government, of which they might have received whatever finances that they need. So it is incumbent upon the EC
being the
itself
turnout for the
to ensure that food and water, are given to the officers, so that stakeholders, those who are partaking in the process, do not in any way influence the process. And that is something that we need to condemn in all certain terms. It is something that, we need to ensure it stops.
So
it has to stop. It is not appropriate.
Let's talk again about the action of the Electoral Commission. You've already praised the EC, as it were, for taking action instantly. You talk about credibility. Do you think it's primarily on credibility, or perhaps the EC might have had certain information in the background after it happened and it felt that it needed to take that action beyond credibility?
Well, I'm not in the mind of the EC to make such a wild gesture. I can see the philosophical question that you're asking me. I understand and appreciate it. It is often said that if you find yourself in an environment that is profusely dirty, you have to be very careful, because when dirt is mentioned, it is your name that will be mentioned first. Therefore, you always have to ensure that you approach cleanliness. And that is something that is a journey that you have to put in place, certain mechanisms to be able to arrive, at that particular destination. It just does not come by just a stroke of pen. You will need to work towards that. The EC, for some time now, when the NDC returned to IPAC, for me, they have been quite credible, because now we've heard that they are keeping to the LI. For example, they are allowing passport to be part of the registration process. The vouching is part of the registration process, and so on and so forth. Probably what they've not done is to maybe look at the polling centers in terms of limited registration. So, by and large, they have been doing well until the BVR issues came up, of which, they have treated the matter with some kind of topsy-turviness. And that is something that, is still a dent in the credibility of the EC. Probably they will be able to come out unscathed. Now, if after Parliament, resumes, and a committee of that nature is set up, and the truth comes out, the fact comes out, I think that they will be able to, get their lawyers and work towards the 2024 elections in a credible manner. So, if you look at it, you see that, it's like they take a step forward, they take two steps backwards. And that is quite unfortunate as far as the EC is concerned. But I still believe that they will be able to, acquit themselves with that kind of credibility crisis that they are suffering from. And so that is why I'm of the view that what has happened is in order. They have suspended them, and as early as possible, you don't have to keep them hanging, or whatever the kind of investigation that ought to be done should be done quickly. If they ought to be condemned, we condemn them. If it is a matter that they have to face some kind of court, I think that the person who gave that kind of money for water, nobody asked him to do so, and therefore he could equally be prosecuted if it comes to a matter of court.
You think the police should be running after him right now?
Yeah. I think that one too many, we are allowing things of that nature, to be untackled, and I don't think that is good for our democracy, because gradually corruption is becoming the order of the day.
The police should be running or going after Dr. Kingsley Nyako now. That's what you're saying?
Certainly. If someone can equally ask the court to prosecute him, why would he? It's just like giving a referee who is refereeing a match between Asante Kotoko and House of Folk. Why would he go and give money to the referee? It is to influence the process. Whether the referee will be able to influence the process or not, once the referee has collected that particular incentive, you, the one who gave, you have a certain motivation, and therefore we need to question those kinds of motivations that you had in the law court.
Let's talk about the MPP. The party has not spoken yet. We spoke to Dr. Asasante earlier, and his opinion was that he thinks perhaps the party is too ashamed about what has just happened. I'm just wondering whether really you share the same view as to why the party has not spoken yet.
The earlier part of your question.
I was saying that the MPP hasn't spoken yet about this Kingsley Nyako bribery allegation, which he indirectly confirmed that yes, he gave them money, but it was for water. And I was saying that Dr. Asasante, when we spoke to him earlier, was saying perhaps the reason the party hasn't spoken is because, or might be because, it's too ashamed to talk about this act. We've had the opportunity to speak to the regional secretary of the party, Adam Apia, to ask whether he knew about it. He said he did not know about it. He was going to get his information and perhaps speak to us later. I'm just wondering what your interpretation of all of this is.
Well, you see, it still sends the name of the party down in the mud. The party has lost the goodwill of the people, and that is the more reason why they will have to resort to this kind of influence or vote buying. Their policies have not gone down well with the people and the masses, so they are caught in the web. They are at a crossroads, and that's the more reason why they are resorting to that. It baffles me that the NPP has, degenerated to that level. It just baffles me. It baffles my understanding, because if you have put in place all these kinds of interventions that you have prided yourself with, I think that by now you only have to just hop on that particular message. But you see, they are very much aware that on the ground, their message has not really sunk well. Development project has not really sunk well with the people. Intervention, social intervention and other things, have not really sunk well with the people. That's the more reason why you only resort to this. So this is just, the ninth hour, kind of a salvation that you want to procure. And that has become an embarrassment, for the MPP. It's just so embarrassing that the MPP, has found itself in this particular, quagmire. Unfortunately, it has come about because the leadership have not been listening to those at the grassroots.
Do you think?
And so you should not be surprised that you have that kind of, voter apathy, in the Ashanti region. That is a reality. So the party is just quite embarrassed that something of that sort has happened. And I tell you what, Beatrice, if this thing has not been captured on camera, on video, they would have denied it, because the national organizer has been going about denying all manner of whatever vote buying and all those things. He's not aware. Nothing of that sort has happened. They have gone to churches, they have communicated, whatever is working.
Do you
live in that kind of deniability? This is the kind of embarrassment you will suffer.
Do you think that the MPP will eventually emerge as winners in this election? We've already heard some party folks jubilating.
Well, it is more likely that they are supposed to. But as to the margin is where, the issues lie.
For you, how do you think the margin would play a role in future elections in Ejiso for the MPP?
The margin is crucial, and it's not just merely Ejiso. You see, Ejiso is just a microcosm, of the macrocosm in terms of nationwide politics. So if we have to consider what is transpiring in Ejiso in terms of the margin, let us look at Kumewu. When you have the main opposition party having over 1,000 incremental jump in terms of vote, the party in government ought to be worried, because this is your stronghold. Then you go to Asin North, and they beat you more than what they beat you in 2020. You should be more worried. So to have the top brass of the party descending at Ejiso is because it is crucial to them. They want to earn a bragging right that they had beaten Eduomi with such a large margin. It is something that they need to be able to brag about. So it is a bragging right that they are looking forward to. And that did not happen in Asin North, because I said before that, I say not by-election, that the real by-election, that is to test the popularity of government, is in Asenov. It's in Asenov. And government was embarrassed big time. So the narrow thing that I'm talking about, if it is narrow, it is a very bad omen for the future elections or the fortune of the party in government. It's a very bad omen. It is even worse if Eduomi should win the elections. If he does, the MPP should kiss 2024 goodbye because they would never win that particular election. They won't.
Again, I want to ask you a question just restricted to this constituency. How you think the results of this very election would influence the psyche, as it were, of the constituents of Ejiso?
Constituents of Ejiso. Well, if you watch some of the videos that have come out, it means that the indigenous people are really angry, at the party in government, that is the MPP, of which, they belong to. For them, they've not treated them kindly. But listening to your reporter tells me that it gives a reinforcement of what was transpiring in the morning. There was no incentive to come out to go and vote. That incentive was not there. The motivation was very low. And it had to take the top brass members of the MPP to go around asking them to come and vote. And if they tell you they don't have transport, what does that mean? It means you have to motivate them, incentivize them to come and vote. Will you be able to do that in all parts of the constituency throughout the country? You cannot. Because if you did, then you should have used those resources to build infrastructure.
Dr. Jonathan Asantioche, a political analyst, thank you so much for speaking to us. We'll get back to you as things unfold in the Ejiso constituency. But let's touch base again at that constituency. William Evans Inkum is leading the charge for us. He joins us again live on the phone. William, what can you tell us?
Well, so we are still waiting on the Electoral Commission to gather all the provisional results for the 204 polling stations, collate them, and then declare. Now, we have seen the results still trickling in, but unfortunately, the media men and women here have not been able to gain access to the main auditorium where we will be able to know what is happening on the dashboard. Nobody has been able to gain that access. There's a barricade. The moment you inch closer to the barricade, the police people there who are manning the barricade will tell you to withdraw. When it is time, you people will be called, and then you come and do your job. So that is exactly what is happening here at the St. Anthony Catholic Church, which has been set aside or established as the coalition center for the Ejiso by-election. We still continue to hear figures from the various polling centers. And those figures are pointing to Lawyer Kwabena Boateng's leading as far as this particular election goes. But I can tell you that, well, some members of the MPP have begun celebrating. They are saying that they've done their collation, and it is indicating that their candidate has won. But the others are also being very, circumspect. They wouldn't want to comment on it, but they just want to wait on the Electoral Commission to finish collating the results so they will know who has won. But the MPP are claiming victory at this moment.
MPP claiming victory, but so far, how would you assess it in terms of security? I think this morning when we spoke to you, you talked about 10,000 security personnel who had been deployed to the area to ensure that everything was okay. What can you tell us, your own assessment of how security has unfolded over the period?
Well, in terms of deployment, I must say that security has really worked, I wouldn't say to perfection, because there were some police stations that recorded some skirmishes, but they were able to avert what would have looked like an escalation. So on that score, you would say that the police lived up to expectations. But let me quickly speak to the constituency officer in charge of election and research, Dominic. Dominic, you are already claiming victory. I've heard your people claiming victory, even though results are yet to be collated. What makes you so confident that you have won it?
Okay, Ivan, from the work we've done and then from the results that are coming, we realize that when if Kobrabo Party leads him, I mean, the difference is that big. But if Edomi is leading, it's just, I mean, 1 or 2 something. So we are sure of victory, and we know that the work that we did on the grounds will pay off.
Would you be surprised if our calculation is overturned?
It will not be overturned. Kobrabo Party is the MP elected.
All right, so I mean, that is a level of confidence that the NPP are beginning to showcase as far as the Adjoso by-election is concerned. Well, early days yet. But back to security, they are very heavy on the ground. Like I said, they've barricaded the area. You not have access to the most important area. So they've created a perimeter. So the only people you can find or see outside the perimeter where I am are UC officials, polling agents, and of course, some observers. Those are the only people that you can find as far as the inner perimeter where the ballot boxes have been stockpiled. I'm talking about the ballot boxes containing the cast ballots have been stockpiled. Outside the perimeter are a number of media houses who are all watching with keen interest.
All right, thank you very much, William Evans Inkum, bringing us up to speed report from the Ejiso constituency in the Ashanti region.
Pentecost Church.
And that will be a wrap for our extended coverage of the Ejiso by-election, and of course our hot edition here on 3FM. The coverage doesn't stop here. Log on to our social media pages on TV. We'll be bringing you updates from this by-election in Ejiso. My name is Beatrice. Thank you so much for joining us today. I did this with Alfred Ocansey. Log on to 3news.com. There will be more updates there as well. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good evening.
The man who gave a white